والحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا والحمد لله الذي نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا فصلى الله عليه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الله عز وجل في كتابه الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واصبر لحكم ربك فإنك بأعيننا وسبح بحمد ربك حين تقوم ومن الليل فسبحه وإدبار النجوم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم ثبتنا عند الموت بلا إله إلا الله اللهم اجعلنا من الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر آمين يا رب العالمين. It's an honor to be back here again. It's been a long time since I had an opportunity to visit you. I pray that this community remains healthy and safe and that Allah puts barakah in all of your rizq and protect you and your families. In today's khutbah, what I want to connect are two things that seem at first not connected to each other. And instead of telling you what this khutbah is about in the beginning, I'll begin to unfold that for you as we continue. And inshallah ta'ala, you'll see the point that I'm attempting to make. So what I'm going to start with is something that Musa alayhi salam and Nuh alayhi salam have in common. In the story of Musa alayhi salam and in the story of Nuh alayhi salam, you see two visual elements, two things that seem to be in common with each other. One of them is the sea, and the other one is the mountain. So in the story of Musa alayhi salam, we know that when Fir'aun was following him, Allah Azza wa Jal opened the sea, فَرَقْنَا بِكُمُ الْبَحْرِ. He opened the sea for Musa alayhi salam and the Israelites, and they went through, and Fir'aun gets drowned inside of the sea. We also know that in the story of Nuh alayhi salam, it's the only other story where flood or drowning is the punishment given to the disbelieving nation, and so the people who disbelieved in Nuh alayhi salam were drowned. In the beginning of the mission of Musa alayhi salam, Allah Azza wa Jal spoke to him on the mountain. The Arabic word for a mountain is either Jabal or Tur. Those are two words in the Quran used for the mountain. But regardless, Musa alayhi salam, Allah spoke to him on the mountain. And at the end of the journey when Allah commanded Nuh alayhi salam to build his ship, to build the ark, after the flood was over, فَاسْتَوَتْ عَلَى الْجُودِ, the ship landed on top of the mountain. So the two visual elements that these two stories have in common are the sea and the mountain. Now one more thing as we get closer to the point. Allah has a very unique style of speaking in the Quran. So when He speaks about different stories of the prophets, He speaks in unique ways about each of them. But sometimes He uses very similar language in one story, and then you find the similar language again in a very different story. And something like that happens between Nuh alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam. So I want to start with Musa alayhi salam. When Musa alayhi salam went up to the mountain, Allah tells us in Surah Taha that when he went up to the mountain, Allah told him, not only is He about to give him the revelation, وَلَقَدْ مَنَنَّا عَلَيْكَ مَرَّةً أُخْرَى. We had already done favors to you many times before this. Allah has been doing favors to Musa alayhi salam for a long time. And so He started reminding Musa alayhi salam, when your mother put you in the basket, when your sister was walking on the side of the river, when you were raised in the house of Fir'aun, when we reunited you with your mother, كَيْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنُهَا وَلَا تَحْزَنْ, so her eyes could become cool, so she could find comfort again. I did you the favor of reuniting you with your mother. Then you killed someone, and you escaped, and we tried you in many ways. And so all of these different trials that he went through, Allah makes a list of all of them, and then at the end of all of them, the part of the plan was he will get married in Madian, he will go in the desert and live there for a while, and then one time he will get lost in the desert and he will see a fire on top of a mountain, and he goes and tries to see what, maybe he can get some directions there. This is where Allah was having this conversation with him, and He says to him some interesting things. He says, one of the things He says is, وَجِئْتَ عَلَى قَدَرٍ يَا مُوسَى. You came here right on schedule. You came here exactly according to plan. So all the things you went through were part of my plan, so you could be here at this moment. But part of what Allah says to him also is, وَأَنَا اخْتَرْتُكَ لِنَفْسِي. I have chosen you for myself. And another really beautiful thing, the thing I want you to focus on now, is He says, وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَىٰ عَيْنِي. So you can be crafted, and I'll focus on the word tusna'a in a second, you can be crafted under my watch. Meaning, crafting, when somebody works with wood and they make a table, and when somebody works with metal and they make a sword, and in different kinds of works, you have to do craftsmanship, you have to have artistry, to cut the angles properly and to mold it properly. People do a lot of sunnah when they are making a pot, or when they're making utensils, right? So Allah is describing someone being crafted or designed. So Allah is telling Musa alayhi salam that all of those experiences you had were part of you being designed. So you know how in engineering there are stages of product development? And you have to go through one design phase, then the next design phase, then the next design phase. It's like Musa alayhi salam's life was being engineered by Allah, and every part of the design, every one of those experiences was part of the design, so you could be ready for your real mission. And in this is a really beautiful lesson that the experiences that we go through, they are part of Allah's design to help engineer us. Because we are like the human beings are like a baby is like raw materials. Right? It's like raw materials. And as Allah puts us through these experiences, actually each one of those experiences starts building our understanding, builds our maturity, builds our experience. Sometimes you develop strength by going through pain, right? This is just Allah's design. Athletes, for example, if they want to improve themselves, they have to push harder than their previous stamina to improve. Right? And that's how they're being engineered to perform even better and better and better. So Allah says to him, وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَىٰ عَيْنِي. So you can be crafted, engineered even, under my watch. And I want you to remember this phrase, crafted under my watch. Now, I told you the connection, there's some sort of a connection between Musa alayhi salam and Nuh alayhi salam. And I told you about the mountain and the sea in the story of Musa alayhi salam, and the mountain and the sea in the story of Nuh alayhi salam. Then I told you that Musa alayhi salam Allah says to him, you will be so you could be crafted under my watch. And then you find a similar phrase in the story of Nuh alayhi salam. When you look at the story of Nuh alayhi salam, and Allah told him to build this ship, which was a strange instruction, because there was no water anywhere nearby. Why am I building a ship? And nobody even knows how to build a ship. Nobody, because they're not a people that live next to the sea, so they have no reason to know how to build a ship. So Allah gives him wahi and He says, وَاصْنَعِ الْفُلْكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا. Engineer the ship under our watch. Musa alayhi salam was told, I engineered you under my watch. And Nuh alayhi salam is being told, engineer this ship under my watch. And so this phrase is similar between these two stories also. Now, let's focus on Nuh alayhi salam for a couple of moments. When he was being told to engineer the ship, then everyone around him, they already called him crazy. They already insulted him for many generations. In fact, some of the things we learn in the Quran, the hints that we get, is that people used to disbelieve in Nuh alayhi salam, and then they would get married. Young men disbelieved in him, young men and women. They got married, they have children. They bring their children and say, don't listen to this crazy old man. And then those children get older, they get married, they have children. They bring their children and say, my dad told me, don't listen to this crazy old man. So generations and generations used to insult Nuh alayhi salam. But now, after 950 years, Allah is telling him, build a ship. And they're looking at him building a ship, and we told you he's crazy. This is the craziest thing he's ever done. right? So one of the big allegations against Nuh alayhi salam is that he is insane. By the way, that same accusation was made against Musa alayhi salam also. He was called insane also. But anyway, so he's building this ark, this ship, under the watch of Allah. But while he is building it, the more he builds it, the more people make fun of him. Every day he's working on it. You cannot build the ship in one day. You cannot engineer it in one day. You're working on it, working on it, working on it. And Allah it's almost as if, you know, when you design something, especially construction project, engineering project, and we know it's big enough that it's going to fit human beings, it's also going to fit animals. So it's a very large construction project, right? So you have to have blueprints, and you have to have a schematic, so you can put the right pieces in the right place, and you have to have structural engineering even. All of this has to be taken care of. Allah says, وَحَمَلْنَاهُ عَلَى ذَاتِ أَلْوَاحٍ وَدُسُرٍ. In another place He says, we boarded him onto something made up of boards of wood, planks of wood, and nails. It's as if every board of wood and every nail was designed by Allah, put this here, put this here, put this here. So everybody else is calling him crazy, but he's working according to the design Allah has revealed to him. You know, and he's designing this ship. Now, why did I mention both of these things to you? Now I slowly work towards the point that I wanted to share with you in this khutbah. There's a really beautiful surah in the Quran that I came here to not only study but share some lessons from with a group of our students, Surah At-Tur. Surah At-Tur is surah number 52 in the Quran. And I'd like you to go after the khutbah this weekend, just read Surah At-Tur on your own. In the beginning of Surah At-Tur, Allah takes a number of oaths. He swears by a number of things. The first thing He swears by is the mountain. And the last thing He swears by is the sea. So, وَالطُّورِ وَكِتَابٍ مَسْطُورٍ فِي رَقٍّ مَنْشُورٍ وَالْبَيْتِ الْمَعْمُورِ وَالْبَحْرِ الْمَسْجُورِ. Actually, وَالسَّقْفِ الْمَرْفُوعِ وَالْبَحْرِ الْمَسْجُورِ. So the first thing was the mountain, and the last thing was the sea. And it's very subtle and delicate that at the end of this surah, Allah talked to His Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah talked to Muhammad Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And He said to him, وَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ فَإِنَّكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا. Keep moving forward with patience, stay strong on your mission, because you are commanded by your Rabb, because of the hukm of your Rabb, keep working forward, because you are definitely under our eyes. The same phrase that I told you was used in the story of Musa alayhi salam, the same phrase that was used in the story of Nuh alayhi salam, is a similar phrase that now Allah is using for Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and He's using it in Surah At-Tur, in the beginning of which He made a hint towards the mountain and He made a hint towards the sea. But what does it mean for our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? It's kind of a combination of both of those stories and then even more. In the sense that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to go through many, many experiences while he is in Makkah.